live in a small town in Massachusetts. I'm currently going into my senior year as a high schooler. When I'm with my friends, we usually just play basketball or something like that.
No, that's an air
player, by the way. Varsity player.
I was a regular 16-year-old kid. Zero earnings, a nobody. I was at the bottom, but I worked my way up to the top.
There's one question on America's mind right now, and it's not whether Ukraine is going to get invaded by Russia. It's how does it feel like to be the first Olympic esports player?
The Olympics have always been a dream of mine. Watching on TV as a kid.
It's crazy he made it to the Olympics. I just don't know if the trade-off was worth it.
Throughout this journey, I've lost a lot of friends. Mostly because they were jealous of my earnings.
He's really changed as a person since he started getting into gaming. Some might say he's switched up.
It didn't really matter as long as my earnings were up, I have about 30,000 in earnings. I don't know. Maybe more? Too much to count for me. Of course, none of this would be possible without practice. I practice for hours, day and night. Sometimes I even skip school.
It's insane. He just practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. And it all paid off.
Standing at 5'9", your world champion, Abu!
Hi, my name is Gio, and welcome to the Transcript. This week we will look into the youth vaccination bill, Hotspots checks out Many Grace's farm, Hamped Up dives into Olympic controversies, and Taking It to the Streets investigates the statewide mask mandate.
Welcome to Hamped Up.
Y'all ready for this?
The International Olympic Committee began its first ever performance-enhancing drug testing in 1986. These medicines have been used in sports since the ancient Greek Olympics. The chemicals have the ability to increase stamina, enlarge and bulk up muscle tissue, and provide a range of other unfair benefits in sports. Kamila Valieva, a 15-year-old Russian Olympic Committee figure skater, was allowed to compete after recently testing positive for a banned cardiac medicine prior to arriving at the Beijing Olympics. We talked to former Olympians Jonathan Cheever and Wiley Danger Maple to hear their opinions on the issue.
It is absolutely a problem. I'm sure I know for a fact in some sports it's more of a problem than others. And definitely like the more athletic based sports like bobsled, Nordic skiing, those type of things. And yeah, so what the USOC does and WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, is they come up with these rules that say like this is like what we're going to do for a fair sport. Any edge that anyone can get, they're going to do. Technology is getting better. It's probably going to be easier to cheat. And I mean, like if we're talking way down the line, I'm sure at some point we can have people that are partially bionic. So I don't know how far out something like that is, but yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be more prevalent. And when we see a 15-year-old girl doing this in figure skating that is dominating the competition, is she winning because of performance enhancing drugs? Maybe yes, it definitely doesn't hurt. But yeah, I do not see it going anywhere as long as there's a competitive sport, Olympics or not.
They do test us pretty hard. Like when I was officially a member of the US ski team and all that stuff, I had to say where I was every day, and we had drug tested all the time. I think that certain kinds of performance enhancing drugs should be allowed eventually. Watching football players and stuff like that who are their sports aren't regulated like ours are as strictly. They can come back from like ACL injuries quicker and get healthier faster. But if, certain things they prove to, be healthy enough and safe enough for athletes that they just become a standard, that would be nice. So we can come back from injury quicker, so we can get stronger, faster. I mean, think about like protein powders and Gatorades and all that stuff. That was a drug back before it was invented, right?
Thank you for watching Hamped Up. We'll see you after break.
Good morning, NHS. Well, it's official. Masks are no longer required in the building. Free at last, free at last. Woohoo! Everyone, enjoy your day. Take those off your faces. Let's see what you have hiding under there. And remember, make good choices.
Wait a second. Do I know you? You look a little familiar.
Huh?
Man,
So familiar.
I totally recognize you.
Yeah, and like the weird haircut. What is that?
Hold on, are you in one of my classes? I think they're definitely eyes.
Yeah, the crooked teeth. I don't know, something about it.
Wait a second. Nola?
Levi?
Is that you?
Oh my god!
Get out of town! This is so weird.
So
It's
weird.
crazy to see your face. You look really
Very different.
You-
Not in a bad way.
No, not in
but
a bad way. So it's nice to see you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
about
think
this.
But I'm just gonna put on my mask here, protect myself, and go the other direction.
Bye-bye.
It was great seeing you. It was so good to see you. Bye bye.
Last week, Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker announced that the statewide school mask mandate would not be renewed after February 28th. Baker, along with the Commissioner of Elementary and Secondary Education, Jeffrey Riley, held a press conference where they cited low risk of COVID in young people. The widespread availability of the vaccine and number of children who have gotten the jab is the reason behind their decision. While the governor's action opened the possibility of districts lifting mask mandates, the decision will ultimately be decided on a district-to-district basis. In a statement provided by families last week, Superintendent Dr. John Provost reiterated that masks will continue to be worn as per the guidelines set forth by the Northampton Department of Health. This week, we hit the street of downtown Northampton to get the community's perspective on the issue.
So, do you think Governor Baker made the right call with lifting this mask mandate in schools?
No, I don't think so. I feel like the mask mandate should still be an act for the time being, especially if not everyone's vaccinated. With the second, isn't it the second dose? Yeah, I don't know. I just feel that way about it.
So, how long do you think the mask mandate in schools will be in effect for?
My guess is new cases per day are declining. Right now we're averaging around 2,500 or 2,100. And I'm guessing once we get below 1,000, that's when those mask mandates will probably start to drop in Northampton.
Will you be concerned with your safety if the mask mandate is lifted in school?
Yes, I will.
Why?
Because the masks are so important to stop the spread of COVID, and even though the rates are going down, it could go up just as easily if one case got through and could be spread very fast, and I would be very nervous about going to school.
With COVID cases consistently going down, we will continue to give updates on the matter. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next week.
Recently, Bill H2411 has been put up for legislation in Massachusetts, stating that religious exemption for vaccination in schools will be temporarily lifted. In Section 15 of Chapter 76, Title 12, Part 1, it is stated that in absence of a pandemic, if a parent or guardian doesn't want their child to have the vaccines required to attend school for religious reasons, the guardian can give the school written exemption of required vaccination. This law also states that during an epidemic or other emergency, this exemption will be lifted. Bill H2411 states that COVID-19 meets the criteria for this mandate. If it passes, that means COVID-19 vaccination will be mandatory for all public school students, regardless of religion. We asked NHS students and teachers for their opinions on the bill.
So at this point, I kind of feel like maybe it's almost too late. So is it really necessary at this point? You know, everything that I've read, everything that I've seen, COVID cases are going down. And personally, I don't think that, you know, especially with Omicron, that there is the same level of danger, right, as there was, you know, say a year ago. Perhaps in the future, there'll be another coronavirus, and to ensure that school is not disrupted in the way that it was during this past pandemic, to prevent the kind of chaos that we experienced, I think that would be really helpful. I would hope that the legislature, you know, approaches this really carefully and does not, you know, overuse or extend its power, you know, unnecessarily. I would hope that this would ensure that, you know, schools remain open and safe. But given how polarizing and how politicized this has all become, I certainly am skeptical. I certainly am worried.
Do I support this bill? I don't think I do support this bill. As a man of faith.
I think the bill is a good idea since vaccination rates are not what they should be in this country.
I'd say that it's just heresy.
People should definitely get vaccinated, like vaccines have been proven to work.
Bill H2411 currently does not have a hearing date since its postponement in June. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
In honor of Valentine's Day, NHS school librarian Rochelle Garfinkel curated a selection of books that offer a new and interesting way to choose your next read. When you enter the library, there's a table with several gift-wrapped books labeled with their genre and first sentence.
So, this display is actually combining two ideas together into one. I've done a blind date with a book display before, and one of the things that it does is it gets people to check out books that might not have the best covers, because people do choose books without covers, or based on what the cover looks like, even though that may not have anything to do with how good the book is, and the concept of having a first line of the book as a hook to get somebody to read it. Teachers are totally allowed to participate. Admin, anybody who I can check out a book to can participate. So there's a wide range of stories and books in the display, but mostly they were chosen based on the first sentence being a good hook.
You can stop by the library and check out one for yourself until the end of February. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
With spring around the corner, flower shops prepare for the annual Bloom in Business. One such business is Many Graces Farm. Founded in 2018, Many Graces Farm offers a variety of services, from catering to simple bouquets. Using sustainable farming methods, Many Graces Farm is able to both care for any occasion and care for the earth. This week, we sat down with its co-owners, Rebecca Mallier and Cal Comenda, to discuss the opening of the new storefront in Thorns and the challenges of transitioning from farm to storefront.
Opening a flower shop was always sort of a little
little inkling of a dream that we had, and we didn't expect to open a shop this year. Thorns reached out to us and invited us to come into their amazing community, and so we took the leap and said yes, and we're just really excited to be here.
Our farm was only 2 years old when the pandemic hit, and the way in which farms function is you plan in the previous season for the coming season. So we had no idea what was about to hit in 2020, so our growing plan was already set. So we had a field full of flowers and we weren't sure what we were going to do with them. So we ended up growing a wholesale side of the business that had not existed prior to the pandemic, and the reason for that coincided with the collapse of the global cut flower industry. So all of the imports that were coming in, that the places that people typically get flowers from, they didn't exist anymore. So we found ourselves with a field full of flowers and people who needed flowers. So we grew the wholesale side of the business in that moment.
I love any flower that, like, I always talk about how the flowers dance. So I love any flower that has a lot of interesting movement or gesture. Our logo flower is a parrot tulip, and those flowers in particular have a lot of like undulating movement. I think that for us, like, some of the most interesting work we get to do is like large scale installations for events. So I think that sort of, for me, that is the most interesting stuff, where we get to like basically create floral sculptures for people's events, big like archways, things that look like they're growing out of the ground, big arrangements. Like, we like really doing like larger scale stuff. So yeah.
Big thank you to Many Graces for their time, and next time you find yourself in Thorns Marketplace, make sure to stop and smell the flowers. They're holding a grand opening March 11th, and anyone is welcome to come. Thank you for watching, and make sure to tune in next week for some more local hot spots.
The NHS D&D group meets every Thursday in the library from 3:30 to 5. We are looking for game masters, so stop by if you are interested. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next week.
We're talking about the transcript.